Hi, everybody. So today we're going to turn our attention to a much darker topic, which is cancer. The reason that we're going to talk about cancer is that it's related to mitosis. Remember, mitosis is the making of daughter cells. And that's happening all over your body. That's how you grow. It's how you repair tissue. And it can happen uncontrollably, where you just have cells start dividing, like this little orange cell might divide very fast, race through interphase, go into prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. The daughter cells then do the same thing, race through interphase, and it'll grow into a lump over time, and later in time it'll look like this and just run away. And then the cells can break away and travel to other parts of the body. And carry on that growth there. So mitosis, because it's for growing, if you have uncontrolled growth, it's mitosis. So that's why we're talking about cancer at this point in the context of cell division. So uncontrolled mitosis, mitotic division, mitotic means mitosis, causes cancer. What would make this happen? Well, it means that that cell right there had a mutation in it. That caused it to no longer control its reproduction. So it's changes in the DNA that are in the nucleus of the cell, mutations that occur that cause this to happen. Now, if you look around the body, you could have a mutation in one cell, but not another. And so you can have... if you have a mutation in a cell, it's not going to change your entire body, right? Now, if you inherit genes from your parents, right? If you, at the moment that the sperm from your dad and the egg from your mom fuse, if at that moment there's a gene in there for a particular trait, when you grow from one cell to two daughter cells by mitosis, those daughter cells will be identical, right? It copies all the DNA during interphase and then splits them up carefully. So both of those daughter cells will have that gene. And then if they divide, they'll have that gene, right? Well, what if that gene was a cause of cancer? Then you would have the gene for cancer, for that cancer in every single cell of your body. That is possible. You can inherit mutations for cancer. And they would be in every single body cell. On the other hand, those mutations, those changes in DNA can be caused by agents in the environment. Things like the plastics in your water bottle, like the flame retardants they put on pillows and pajamas, like the stuff on carpet to keep it stain resistant. All of that stuff, when it gets in your body, can change the DNA in your cells and cause cancer, cause these mutations that cause cell division to happen uncontrollably. So clearly, people who inherit a gene for cancer don't always get cancer. And people who are exposed to agents in the environment, like plastics, don't always get cancer. So what's up with that? Why is it that you can inherit a risk for cancer? Why is it that smoking cigarettes increases your risk? But you could be like my grandmother, who smoked for, 60 years and didn't get lung cancer. She did die of cancer, but not lung cancer. It was breast cancer and uterine cancer. So how come somebody could smoke their entire lives and not have lung cancer, and somebody else, like my mother and father, could smoke and get lung cancer? How does that happen? Well, here's the thing. Many cancers require maybe 2 or 3 particular mutations. And those mutations all have to happen in that one cell. You couldn't have mutation A happening in this cell and mutation B happening in that cell and have cancer. Neither of them would get it. To have cancer, you'd have to have them both happen in the same cell, right? So imagine that you have mutation A in a brain cell and you have mutation B in a skin cell. Neither of them are going to grow into cancer, even though you have both mutations that are necessary for cancer. On the other hand, if this mutation A and this mutation B both happened in that brain cell, there would be brain cancer. Okay, so that's how some cancers, many cancers work. So in that case, you could be exposed, drink water out of a water bottle and put your head on the pillow with the flame retardant, right? And the water bottle plastic may cause a mutation in the cell in your tongue, and the flame retardant could cause a mutation that happens in your lungs when you breathe it in, and neither of those cells become cancerous. But the more that you're exposed to stuff, then you walk behind a car and you get another mutation, and the more mutations that build up, the more chance there is that A and B will happen in the same cell. And that's why things can increase your risk for cancer, but not necessarily cause cancer, because it's a question of how much you're exposed to, increasing the chances of certain conditions all lining up at the same time. Okay, so if you are exposed to a whole lot of mutagens, your chances of cancer go up. Now, when you go to the doctor, your doctor, especially as you get older, may ask you, do you have a family history of cancer? They ask me, right? My grandmother had cancer, both my parents had cancer. And I have to say, yeah, I have a family history of cancer. And doctors will ask that. Why? Because they're concerned that you may have inherited one of the mutations for cancer. And if you did, it's in every single cell. So let's imagine for the moment that I inherited gene A, mutation A, from my mother, okay? And in her egg. And when the egg and the sperm fused, when I was one cell big, when I was a zygote, it had mutation A. When I divided into two cells, when my body was 2 cells big, I had to copy all of those genes, including gene A, and divvy them up. And so both daughter cells now have gene A. And when they copied gene A, and all 4 cells had gene A, until I grew and grew and grew and grew, and every single cell, from the top of my head to the tip of my toes, has gene A. Now, am I going to have cancer? No, because you have to have A and B, and I don't have B. So I'm good, right? But now I walk behind the car, right, with the exhaust coming out. That's a carcinogen. And it causes mutation B in my lung cell. Well, now it automatically already has A. And so when I get B, boom, I have cancer. But if I hadn't inherited A and I walked behind the car, I'd have B. But just B. Maybe I got A in another cell, way over on the other side of my body, right? No cancer. But if I've inherited gene A, it's in every single cell of my body. And now the chances of cancer go way up. And that's why they ask you if you have a family history of cancer. Now, in my case, I do have a family history of cancer. So they watched me really closely. And lo and behold, I developed breast cancer in 2011. And I'm a survivor. But because they knew that I had a higher chance of inheriting cancer genes, that I was at higher risk for cancer. So thankfully they watched and caught it, but when it was very early. And I'm fully recovered. So what's the big deal? These are your own cells. Why? So what? So maybe you have a little growth on your finger. Like, who cares? They're your cells. They shouldn't be a problem. This isn't like getting a virus or a bacterium. I mean, you're made of your cells. Why does it matter that you've got extra? Well, these guys are reproducing very, very quickly. And they take up all the sugar and oxygen, and they starve neighboring cells of resources that they need because they're growing so fast. And sometimes they block things up. In the case of my mother's lung cancer, the cancer grew right across the entire bronchus that led to a lung. So she wasn't getting enough oxygen. So it can be obstructive. Sometimes the cells don't function at all properly, but just get in the way. So what are some things that cause mutations besides inheriting them? UV radiation from the sun. That's why the sunblock. X-rays, That's why they put the apron, the lead apron on you, so that they only expose the cells that they have to, because the less you're exposed, the lower the risk that you're going to get to mutations or however many conditions you need in a particular cell, the less likely that's going to happen. BPA, it's in a lot of plastics, which now you can see there's water bottles contains no BPA. Unfortunately, there's a million other chemicals we don't know about that we are also in our plastics. Plastics are bad, especially microwaving, because that makes it leach it. So don't cook your food in plastic in the microwave. Make sure you're using ceramic or glass. So there's a lot of different things, certainly smoking cigarettes, tons and tons of carcinogens. We are bombarded with carcinogens all day long. It's kind of a miracle we don't all have cancer. Well, it's kind of scary. I mean, it's really kind of scary, right? Because we're just walking around and there's like, everything apparently causes cancer. And it's not that it causes it, right? It increases the risk of it. So the less you're exposed to those, the better. So if you're walking into school and the bus is idling and there's exhaust coming out, maybe take the long way around. Don't walk behind buses and breathe in exhaust on purpose, right? But don't panic if you breathe in some exhaust, because the truth is it's a question of odds, and the chances of getting all the right conditions all to happen in one cell are low. Low enough that most of us walk around without having cancer most of the time. But wouldn't it be nice if they could just make a pill you could just take, and it would just take all the carcinogens out of your body so that you didn't get exposed to these things? That would be great, right? Well, guess what? There is such a thing. There's a thing that you can put in your body, and it'll clear out tons of carcinogens that cause mutations that cause cancer. And what are they? They are fruits and vegetables, things called antioxidants that are in a lot of our fruits and vegetables. Now, you should wash them because there are carcinogens that they spray on our fruits and vegetables, but wash them and eat them because they will remove a lot of these things before they do the damage to your cells, thus really reducing your chances of getting cancer. And it's also, they're very good for lots of other reasons as well. They help all of your chemical reactions happen because they support enzymes. So eat your veggies and fruit, and try to mitigate, reduce your risk by avoiding things that cause cancer, and know that you're reducing your risk every time that you do.